All right, let's jump right into a question that sounds more like a riddle, really. I mean, if you or I are in debt, that makes sense. If a whole country is in debt, okay, we can get our heads around that. But what happens when the entire world is in debt? If everybody owes money, who exactly are they owing it to?
First, let's just take a second to grasp the insane scale we're dealing with. This is the current number for total global debt, $317 trillion. Now, the source material we're digging into today puts it like this, which is just wild. If you were to count this amount, $1 every second, it would take you millions of years to finish. It's a staggering, almost impossible number to truly comprehend.
And this brings us right back to that bizarre paradox. I mean, you look at the world's biggest economies, the US, China, the UK, they're all massive debtors. The whole planet is basically swimming in red ink. So the question remains, if everyone's a borrower, who is the ultimate creditor? Who's holding the IOU for planet Earth? Okay, so to crack this mystery, we first have to talk about a huge misconception, something most of us get wrong about how money and banking actually work. What we think is happening is, well, it's a world away from the reality. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because this breaks down our biggest assumption. See, we tend to think of a bank loan kind of like borrowing money from a friend, right? They have the cash, they give it to you. We picture banks with these giant vaults, just lending out money they already have. But the reality? It's not like that at all. When a bank approves a loan for you, it's not moving existing money around. It's creating brand new money, digitally, right then and there. Let's just walk through how this happens. So step 1, you get your loan approved. Great. Step 2, a banker literally just types some numbers into a computer. And poof, step 3, that digital entry is new money. It's created, as the source says, from thin air. No gold was moved, no cash was printed for it. But now, and this is the most important part, step 4, you are on the hook to pay back all of that newly created money plus interest. And that little phrase, plus interest, that's the kicker. That's where this whole system creates this, well, it's a fundamental problem. It's a mathematical trap, really, that makes a world of constantly growing debt pretty much inevitable. Our source gives us a really simple example to make this crystal clear. So let's imagine a bank approves a loan and creates $1 million for you. Just creates it. That $1 million did not exist in the economy a second ago. But here's the thing. With, say, a 10% interest rate, you don't owe $1 million back. You owe $1,100,000. You can probably already see where this is going, can't you? And this is the absolute core of the trap. The bank created the $1 million, the principal, but it never created the extra $100,000 that's needed to pay the interest. That money just doesn't exist. So where on earth is it supposed to come from? The only way for that interest money to ever get into the economy is for somebody else to go out and take out another loan. This forces everyone into this never-ending cycle where new debt has to be created all the time just to pay off the interest on the old debt. It mathematically means the total debt in the system can never actually be paid off. It can only get bigger. And this quote just perfectly captures the source's main point. This isn't some bug or some accident in the system. The argument is that this cycle, this perpetual machine of ever-growing debt, is an intentional feature. It was designed to work exactly like this. Okay, so now that we get how this debt machine works, we can finally go back and answer that big $317 trillion question. If we're all the borrowers, who are the lenders? Well, according to our source material, the world's debt is mostly owned by 4 main groups. You've got central banks, you have major investment institutions, other countries that hold foreign debt, and finally, the ultra-wealthy. Now, they all have a piece of the pie, but the source really zooms in on that first,
most powerful group. So that's what we're going to do too.
Let's talk about these central banks. Institutions like the US Federal Reserve or the Bank of Japan. They manage a country's currency, and this is the crucial part. They buy government bonds. That's how governments borrow money. And right now, around the world, central banks hold something like $25 trillion worth of government debt. Now, here's a detail from the source that, frankly, shocks a lot of people. The U.S. Federal Reserve, despite its very official-sounding name, is described not as part of the government, but as a private system. And get this, it's owned by a group of large commercial banks. So what this means, according to the source, is that when the U.S. government pays interest on its debt, the profits are going to these private banks, and it's all paid for by us, the taxpayers.
And you can see here, this isn't some new thing. This system has been around for a long, long time. The Bank of England, which kind of became the model for a lot of others, was set up way back in 1694. The U.S. Federal Reserve came much later, in 1913. The source makes the point that for centuries, ever since these places were created, governments have been borrowing from them, and the debt has just kept piling up and up.
So all of this brings us to the final, and honestly, the most important takeaway from this whole thing. The system we've just described, it's not really about money. It's about power. I mean, think about it in the simplest possible terms. In any relationship involving debt, the person who borrows the money has to answer to someone else. They become subordinate. And the person who lends the money, they're the ones setting the rules. They call the shots. They make the decisions. And that's the core of it, right there. This quote reframes this entire conversation. That $317 trillion number isn't just an accounting issue. It's not just an economic headache. It is, at its heart, a problem of power and of control. And so, that leaves us with one last big question to think about. If the system is designed so that debt is pretty much unavoidable, and if the one who lends the money is the one who ultimately makes the decisions, then who really holds the power in our world?